Looking back in the year 2025, and there's no surprise today that artificial intelligence continue to revolutionize our lives. Not only people are anxious about the future, but also we're seeing that some of the careers are facing major challenges and because of the artificial intelligence. And for example, in the field of education, teachers are rather anxious about the effectiveness of teaching methodology and when we bring AI into the classroom. On the other hand, what about the labor market? Now, statistically speaking, more companies today are rather prefer or have the priority to put AI in the job field instead of having all those young people to compete against each other. What about this revolution continue to make impact for this upcoming year? And how do we know that it's time we need to take a reality check on artificial intelligence? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to invite our distinguished speaker, who is Ambassador Sergiy Korsunsky. Ambassador Korsunsky is the former ambassador of Ukraine to Japan. He's now a senior advisor at Nihon Cyber Defence and distinguished global scholar at Temple University, Japan campus. Well, Ambassador Korsunsky, and welcome to The Missing Piece.
My pleasure.
Well, Ambassador, again, such an honor to have you on our show because of this amazing article you recently came out. It's called The AI Revolution Needs a Reality Check. Now, Ambassador, we talked about this before, and we've been addressing the presence of AI for so long. So let's start with a fundamental question. Why is it crucial for us to understand not the effectiveness, but the risk that we're facing right now when we talk about AI? Especially, we are seeing this huge demand and unstoppable changes in AI. Your thoughts?
Let me start from saying that I personally witnessed the revolution in computing in IT since the very beginning. When I was young, I was coding myself. I was a researcher with a scientific institution. So I remember all stages of development from simple paper perforation cards until the recent development in AI. So what I can say right away, that you can't stop development of technologies. This is absolutely clear. But when it comes to development of technologies, which really has immense influence on everything, on economy, on social life, on our relations, everything, you have to be very careful because what we have seen and what we may expect, that first there are a lot of hype around that. So strong expectations which are not confirmed by reality. That when you go to economic side. On the other part, those technologies can be used for malicious purposes, not just for weapons, but we see it already. There are very powerful reports from major companies around the globe that ransomware now is being created using AI agents. So we have to see, and you mentioned education. I'm an educator myself. And let me tell you, and I was checking a final essay for my group at the university, and the warning I issued to them, if I detect AI influence, you will be out of discussion for final grades, because AI is not perfect. AI deprive your ability to think. So that is when it comes to education. So I think we have to very carefully see what's going on with critical thinking in mind and with reality check in place.
Ambassador, I want to get to your article right away. This is something that you wrote, which is quite alarming, and I quote, AI agents are far from perfect. They make mistakes. They can provide advice for terrorists, and they can harm vulnerable people. They can spy on companies and individuals. But again, Ambassador, you're the expert. But let's talk about a piece of reality is today, people, on average citizens, and again, you don't have to be in a government positions to understand AI is quietly and slowly trying to dominate our lives. I have heard and seen that people solely rely on AI, look for daily advices, and look for suggestions or even looking for a shortcut. So, Ambassador, from your perspective, again, we're going to talk about this geopolitical side for a second, but just on the average, on the daily basis, how much can we expect the AI's dominance will continue to expand the wings instead of shorten or instead of trying to put limitation on this? Your thoughts?
That is very important issue, because whatever we talk about big things, in the end of the day, AI affects our personal life, life of our children and our relatives. And there are zillion cases already reported. It's not just reported in media, but like parents of one kid in United States sued the AI company because this kid used AI for advices. He doesn't. He's not able to eat salt, normal salt. So he asked AI. AI gave him a substitution to salt, which led to his death. And that's real case, which was in the court. There are issues related to personal relations when young boy and girls they choose AI companion instead of normal relations. There is an experiment, and again, it was openly reported between Claude and ChatGPT. And this experiment was that each side would test another engine for questions like how to make a bomb or how to blow up a stadium. And AI provided excellent advices, including the map of the stadium and where to put explosive with most effective way. And that was shock even for developers. So what they have done, they put like a censorship inside their machines that no longer you will receive such an advice. But in this case, I ask myself, if you can manipulate how the algorithm works, what would be the difference with social media, which initially were like free to use, but then they were censored by owners. So that means if you intervene into algorithms of AI, you don't know how it will work on other requests, other prompts, which you are going to put. Because what is actually an AI for just simple people to understand? This is very simple mathematical algorithm. I have a degree in applied mathematics. I can tell you, I was surprised. This is linear mathematics. So sorry, this is second grade in the college. So that's the algorithm. But what makes AI powerful? Data and computing power. So the question is that if you manipulate algorithm, you don't know how effectively it will work with data. So this is something which is not yet clear for anyone, even for developers. They rush to develop one engine after another. I have seen this zillion times. So this is something which you have to be very careful. You can and should use AI when it is applicable and when it makes difference. But if you put it at any point, always, instead of learning how to multiply 2 by 2, and you ask AI, you will be degrading. Machine will be developing. So I'm telling my students, if you use AI, you help machine to develop. But for humans, that means devolution, not evolution. Is it something we want to see? I mean, it is really must be very carefully brought to the agenda. Yes, we should use it when it is really necessary. It can bring difference, but we should not use it at any turn.
Ambassador, I know you listed out some crucial statistics in your article. Let's talk about the numbers. You mentioned that some forecast that AI will turbocharge global output by 30% per year. But most economists envision different reality. About 1% of annual growth in a best case scenario, around 80% of the companies today using generative AI. Again, Ambassador, you are located in Japan, and of course that we talk about, how the Japanese economy, and also we're seeing this inflation up and down in the nation of Japan. So let's talk about this, Ambassador, from your perspective. What are some of the tangible changes that you are seeing in terms of the presence of AI and also the human capabilities? I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, Ambassador, when we look at AI, when we look at human capabilities, is this a coexistence situation, or this has become more like a race between AI and human being? Your thoughts?
We should to avoid this race. This is exactly the point, that we have to take care to coexist and to understand how we can contribute to our own development. First of all, I cannot stop thinking that those trillions of dollars which we invest now, I mean, those 5 big companies, actually this is absolute majority of the volume of investment. They coming from 5 companies. So if those trillions we would invest in human development, imagine what would be the difference. They need absolutely stunning amount of energy and water to cool down those chips. I mean, it's probably for many of you would be surprised that those NVIDIA beautiful equipment, it has been cooled by water, simple water. So you need to produce this water. Again, in many parts of the world, that needs, really huge investment. The point is that when we come to Japan, you mentioned that it's very important, because Japanese, as always, first, they're very cautious. They already created several years ago a special institution which study influence of AI on every turn of life. And Anthropic, which had chosen Japan as its base, they are part of this institute. They have special Hiroshima initiative for very responsible use of AI. So that is first step. Second step, they create now infrastructure for AI development, but not in terms, that we want to lead the world, we want to win the race, we want to build the biggest data center in the universe. No way. They're carefully thinking how they can use AI to solve the problems which are very intrinsic to aging society. Let's put it simple. This is a most senior society in the world. Average, the median age almost 50 years. People who are old, 100 years and older, 100,000, imagine. So you have to take care of the pension system. You have to take care of the infrastructure which supports elderly people which need care. So robotics and AI could be extremely helpful. But that is something which we should think it's a different issue compared to endless urge to invest. And people who, that's message from those people like Sam Altman and others. They say we are going to era of trillionaires. It's not only billionaires, it's already trillionaire. Yeah, Elon Musk is already trillionaire. So, and people, when they listen to that, specifically young people, they think, wow, this is a real opportunity. Not even close. This club will be very short-lived. So we have to think about practical implications. We have to think about the most effective way and be very careful. I absolutely reject the note and the promise that AI will substitute humans in most important professions. For example, Bill Gates, if I'm not mistaken, said that doctors will be AI. Okay, I wish he would go to dentist, who would be AI instead of normal human. But you cannot choose one profession, which will be like medical profession, which will be run by AI, and not to develop another. So this is infrastructure. This must be supported by educational institutions and by legal part. So what I'm saying that those statements, they are misleading, to say the minimum. This is something which affects planning of educational institutions and planning of governments. They think maybe we need to change the system, social system for elderly, for support of basic education, healthcare. Maybe we have to change because AI will resolve all of the problems. No, not yet. And you have to understand that in parallel with the AI, which will be positive, we will see negative side. It's already registered fact. It's not a theory. It's reported by major cyber defense agencies around the globe. In our company, see that the AI is now used. You mentioned that you don't need even college education. You just need to be able to put AI agent inside the ransomware. This is a simple skill. You do not need to be genius. But a ransomware run by AI agent is completely different, much more malicious, much more harmful than anything else. So what is going on? Now companies around the globe, cyber defense companies, they try to employ AI agents to fight AI ransomware. And that happens this year. It is not something which existed before. Why? Because we have seen every second week, we see another AI agent. Open code, do whatever you want. This is not, you can't stop development of technology, but you have to be cautious what you are doing. You have to think. I think we have to answer the question, why we allow to use many agents, many machines for free? Why for free? But the answer is very simple. We teach them, asking them questions and improving their answers. They are learning from us. They are becoming better. That's good. For whom? Who profit from this? So that is something which has to be heavily, unfortunately, I would say, heavily regulated. And governments and people who see this, the whole picture, like positive and negative, have to help and have to voice that. That's why I wrote an article about this.
Well, Ambassador, again, all the questions that you just asked shall be answered. Again, these are the fundamental and the critical questions that we need to address as we continue to see or continue to witness the AI revolution. Ambassador, stay with me. I have two more questions before letting you go. Now, let's talk about this geopolitical side. You also mentioned that because of AI and because of the algorithm that AI put into a practice, that we've seen that North Korean, also the Russian hackers, are quickly grab the opportunity to enhance the ransom with AI agent to make attacks harder to define or harder to be spot. So, Ambassador, from your perspective, again, as we continue to see the war in Ukraine and we continue to see what the war is already brought into the nations of Ukraine and also in Russia, how do we understand from the geopolitical side this ambition under AI or this ambition along with AI? Your thoughts?
Right week ago, here in Tokyo, the Munich Cyber Defence Conference conducted a roundtable where I participated with people from around the globe, from Korea, Japan, Singapore, and Germany, Switzerland, Canada, United States, and so on. We were sitting together and talking about this exactly issue, that we all see enormous number of attacks per day unseen 2-3 years ago. In Japan, we see several hundreds attacks on businesses and governmental agencies. In Ukraine, we see thousands. Since the very beginning of invasion, Ukraine is under permanent cyber attacks from Russia. They try to shut down our energy grid, our transport infrastructure, communications, to intervene into military affairs and financial system. But let me tell you, after 4 years of brutal war, endless destruction caused by drones and missiles, our infrastructure is up and running. You can go, you can buy a ticket on a train and to go to other city, and it works. I use credit cards from Ukrainian banks in Japan flawlessly all those years, no absolutely problem. Yes, there were several breaches through the communication companies, and we have seen problems, but that is exactly why, because they develop, people, hackers, specifically under guidance of Russian government, this is absolutely no secret that they have special force, I would say, cyber force, just to produce this harmful software and attack everything. They do not just attack Ukraine; they attack the whole civilized world. And here in Asia, we see North Korea. North Korea use their software for ransom, and it's in bitcoins. In cryptocurrencies, and they earn a lot of money. So everyone who asks the question how this country without proper economy and normal trade is able to produce weapons and survive, now they have source of income, and this source is exactly in the area of cyber. So what you do each time you see the attack, you analyze what is happening, what kind of software was used, and you try to understand whether you can whether it was a problem with the defense system existing, or you have to develop something else. What I have seen, I see both. So now the discussion at the roundtable, the major discussion was how about this government private partnership, how government can persuade companies to introduce proper cyber defense, and how they can trust each other, because in Japan several laws were adopted this year that companies must report to central authority about attacks. And this central authority has resources, people, and infrastructure to analyze and to provide assistance. Thousands, tens of thousands of people will be trained to do that. And that is exactly what we do in Ukraine. Let me tell you, I was really, really proud for us, for Ukraine, because in this roundtable, everyone who was speaking about the problem, they were saying, we learned from Ukraine. We look at it and we really admire. For 4 years, you was able to run your country, your economy. Of course, it's not the level of, say, economic activity we would like to see. But this is war. It's not easy.
Right.
But the level of protection of infrastructure is absolutely stunning. That is why we welcome very much, in Ukraine, cooperation. And our company, where I am senior advisor, we work with Ukraine now. We're going to develop several projects in two ways. So to see what Japan can contribute to Ukrainian resilience, and what we can learn here in Japan from Ukrainian experience. And it is very important if we communicate. This is extremely important. It's not just bilateral. We all have to communicate around the world, all the right people, because the threat is there. And they train their ransomware on easier targets, small companies, SMEs, and then they attack big one. Once they attack big one, and if they succeed, ransom can be, let me say the figure, which we know one of the attacked companies paid. It's around $500 million.
Wow.
So this is big. Yeah, those things are really big. And if you better invest smaller amount to have proper cyber defense, rather than to be attacked, to get breached, and then to pay. Unfortunately, AI helps ransomware companies, but we are smart enough to use AI to use against them. So, but this is a race. This is a kind of, the gun can be used by police to stop the bandit, and at the same time, the same gun could be in the hands of bandit. This is the same story.
Well, Ambassador, again, it's so uplifting and encouraging to know that the resilience and the brevity that the Ukrainian people showed in the midst of the war, of course, that this is such a good news that we want to hear at the end of 2025. Ambassador, I want to ask you the last question, very simple. When we look at AI presence and we look at the war and the complication of the conflicts around us, of course, today we pay so much attention to what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening to the people in Ukraine. Sitting U.S. President Donald Trump that recently came out with this 28-point plan, and again, the goal was to bring peace back to Ukraine. And again, we've seen the complication, the intricacy of the war in Ukraine. So you, Ambassador, you have the first-hand knowledge, understand what's happening on the ground. And of course, we talk about national security. We talk about this international collaboration. At the end of 2025, how do you view this 28-point plan by Donald Trump? And also, what can we expect about the war in Ukraine when we approach 2026? Are we going to see more resilience, more pushbacks from the Ukrainian people and the military and the government to Russia? And how do you think that we're going to move forward in order to bring better results or even yet effective results? And also, just the ending of the war for good. Your final thoughts.
This is something which, $1 billion question, as we call it on shows. This 28-point plan was, of course, not acceptable in its initial form. That is why it was very heavily negotiated. It was heavily negotiated by Ukrainian and American teams between Ukraine and our European partners. Altogether, if I'm not mistaken, the number of 28 reduced to 19. Then the American interlocutors went to Russia and they negotiated with Putin and his people. This time, probably maybe the first time we have seen that Putin did not say no, he did not say yes. And another round just have been completed in the United States again with between us and the United States. So Ukrainian side was informed about what was happening in Moscow. Those details, they're not public, but what is absolutely clear for us, and that is something which we must keep in mind, whatever is on the table. First, no one else in the world wants peace more than Ukrainians.
That's right.
It is really impossible to imagine the size of destruction and number of people killed for nothing, and civilians, first of all, tens of thousands of children kidnapped, and so on and so forth. Endless list of crimes committed by Russia. But what we see from Russian side as well, we depleted their army. They lost more than 1 million combatants. And what is going on? We have to see the desire from Russian side to end the war. We do not see it. We see from Putin, we always see ultimatums, which are simply unacceptable for Ukrainian people. We have now terrible problem with energy in the middle of the winter. So we have blackouts for 10 hours in big cities. So what people have done, they bought generators. And they said we would better live with generators rather than with Russians. So this is something which Zelensky you can feel the strength of people. At the same time, we do need to end the war. So what I can tell you, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you when the war would end and how. But what I can tell you, whenever we see the smallest opportunity for compromise, we will take it. Zelensky said that many times. We need peace. We want peace. We understand that time is running from the moment you can still jump on the economic development based on new technologies. what Russia have done, it completely lost its place at the table of those who will run the world in the future. But that's their choice. We don't want to be at the same pair of shoes. We want to see different future for Ukraine.
That's right.
Specifically, taking into account our huge experience and very good knowledge of AI and IT and everything. So, what is my pressure that it would be easiest way if we become members of NATO, for example, the war would stop next day. If Putin would finally remove its troops from Ukraine, but those we should talk about something which is possible to reach a kind of agreement under strong guidance of powerful countries, which can really influence decision of Putin. And then, as I told you already, if we see the smallest window of compromise, we will take it. But Zelensky is not at freedom to do any compromise, because there are people, there are the people in an army who fight, and they are not easy to persuade that we have just to give up territory because Putin said so. We fight for our territory, we fight for our future, and we are absolutely convinced once war is over, it doesn't matter what kind of the arrangement will be. If we do not have proper security guarantees, ironclad, bulletproof security guarantees, the war will come again to our shores in 3-5 years. That's one of the serious obstacles, because we need these guarantees from nuclear states, from countries which are much more powerful than us in terms of this part of the military. So Russia has nucleus, and we do not, as you know. That's the point. So there are issues which are like technical in agreements, but there are bigger issues. And let me finish with something which is really now on the agenda, should be on the agenda. It's not just about our security, it's about global security. We hope global security system disappeared gradually, but still there is no influence from United Nations Security Council. NATO is in a very, I would say, stage of disturbance. And we see in Asia very disturbing developments. So we need a system back. We have to create a system, and then that will be a solution for everyone, because we have to care about the humankind. It's not just about local conflict. It's about security of everyone else. So let's hope that next year we will see very good proposals on the table that which we can together discuss.
Well, again, Ambassador, not only in 2026 we would like to see a better proposal, but also we want to see the results. Again, we strongly admire the brevity of President Zelensky and also the people in Ukraine. Of course, you are 100% right that there should be no compromise on the values and the principles that for the nation to defend itself. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's such an honor to speak to Ambassador Korsunsky. Again, Ambassador Korsunsky is the former ambassador of Ukraine to Japan. He's now a senior advisor at Nihon Cyber Defence and the distinguished global scholar at Temple University on Japan campus. Well, Ambassador, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. We'd love to have you back on the show as we continue to discuss AI and also the global affairs. So thank you so much for doing this.